When shopping the payroll funding markets, people naturally look for a good price. What appears to be the best price, however, often excludes other variables. Months later, when they complain and look for alternatives, price is not usually the thing they're fighting over. It can be difficult to foresee problems at the initial shopping stage, as every payroll funding company has great promotional materials and sales pitches, and hungry salespeople often say anything to get a deal in the door. During our 2 decades in the staffing funding industry, these are the complaints about other payroll funding companies we've heard most often. First, the customer wants out of the contract, but the funding company presses them to the floor with costly early termination fees. Or, the funding company lured the staffing agency in with offers of extra services, but didn't deliver. These extras are presented verbally, are not guaranteed, and never delivered. The payroll funding company isn't applying payments. Customers know the funding company received payment, but it's not showing up in reports. Unreasonable and unwarranted credit limits are suddenly imposed. Customers can't reach the right person at the funding company to get something rectified or done right. They're directed to one unreasonable jerk and can't ever get beyond that person. The funding company's holding new reserves to cover a bad debt. It may be an additional reserve beyond the ordinary that was established at the funding company's discretion. Archaic and frustrating staffing software provided by the funding company. Unclear financial reports. Pricing for shorter pay receivables seemed inexpensive at the beginning, but the customer didn't understand how expensive long pay receivables would end up being, and the funding company always seems to get invoices into the more expensive category. A promised change at the payroll funding company never happens. The most common complaint is about horrible computer systems that are going to be updated, sometime in eternity. A customer misses the contract renewal clause and the funding company fails to remind them, thus activating an automatic renewal clause. If you signed a 2-year contract, this adds on 2 more years. A long time if you're already unhappy with their service. Be as astute as possible when choosing a payroll funding company. The worst thing you can do is assume that if it gets bad, I'll just have my attorney get me out of the contract. Payroll funding contracts tend to be very tough and totally one-sided in favor of the funding company. Secured lending law is its own specialty, and funding companies have so much money that they can outspend you legally many times over. A long and ironclad contract should not be what keeps you doing business with a payroll funding company. Excellent service, fairness, mutual respect, and your own desire to stay should be what keeps you in. Flexible Funding has always offered no-term contracts. As a result, we take pride in remaining constantly competitive in the marketplace. Borrowers can request available funds anytime, and all account payments are applied within 24 hours. At Flexible Funding, we know if our clients don't succeed, we don't succeed.